So, did you know, if you went down to Hyde Park on a Sunday afternoon to Speaker's Corner in the 19th century, you may bump into people like Karl Marx, Vladimir Lenin, George Orwell, Walter Rodney, Ben Tillett, Marcus Garvey, and Kwame Nkrumah and William Morris. Even though it was known as a place for the condemned person who was just about to face the gallows or be hanged, they were allowed to address or speak before the public before they were hanged. Not much has changed in terms of being condemned by the public without being hanged, but there has been a shift in focus in terms of the subject matter. As we visit Speaker's Corner in 2016, what are the current attractions for debate? Also, what are the components? Its existence is frequently upheld as a demonstration of free speech, as anybody can turn up unannounced and talk almost on any subject. As well as the main site of protests and assembly in Britain, there are some who will contend that the tradition has a darker connection with the Tyburn gallows, where the condemned man was allowed to speak before being hanged. A lot has changed since then, but it's still a place for debate and congregation of many people from different faiths and religions.
Into your hands I commit myself. Into whose hands? So hold on.
I'm Ian. I go by the tag R23, that's Rush United 23. I got a YouTube channel, and I tend to post a lot of the debates, what you see here in Speaker's Corner.
I asked you, there's hard evidence.
If you will, he will still know what you're doing. What is it that they don't understand?
But you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Because your choice is already made.
Yes,
Right? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So yeah, over at least 15 years, on and off, I've been coming down here, and I've actually seen the change. You know, it used to be more, I would say, more kind of political kind of debates or speakers or people representing a lot more different diverse areas, but now it's kind of narrowed down and focused more and concentrated more on religion. You have like the atheists, you have the Muslim and the Christians tend to be the predominant speakers here, or the people coming out and checking out Speaker's Corner here in London.
Happening?
Reasonably, at least once or twice a month. I'm interested in what people believe and why they believe it. Have they got good reasons for believing what they believe? And so this is one of the places where you can come and ask questions. You can have, to some degree, a conversation that's hopefully rational and reasonable. Sadly, most people are not that well versed in having a rational conversation. There are a few, such as the gentleman over there, where we can have a somewhat intellectual conversation, and so unfortunately not a great deal. They'll go off on tangents, they don't answer the question, and when a point's made they don't acknowledge it. And so from my point of view as a rational person, I'm going, that's not great. So I just had one now. it was a monologue, and so I went, we can't have a rational conversation. Yeah, it's one of the few in London where you can come and have an open conversation with different people, different beliefs, and so yeah, it's valuable from that point of view. A lot of people confuse atheist and agnostic. So an agnostic is somebody who's 50-50. They're on the fence. They don't know whether there's a God or not. I am much closer to there isn't a God. There's no demonstrable evidence that there's a God, and so if there's a scale like the Richard Dawkins scale, I'm right at the end, or very close to the end, of not believing in a God. I have a non-belief in God rather than I'm not sure. But people who have come for many years have said that, so it's become much more religious focused, it's less political, and there aren't that many other ideas that are debated here. There's a lot of Muslim guys here, which is great because I'm interested in having those conversations. But it's primarily Christians and Muslims that speak in debates. A lot of them, yeah, particularly with the high-end guys like the William Lane Craig, the Sam Harris's, Daniel Dennett, so all the higher-end, Lawrence Krauss. I'm interested in most of those things. Yeah.
Any of the people from down there do you follow as well?
No, none of the guys here are at the level that I would consider high enough in that sense. Great to have conversations, but there are top-end guys which are overseas typically, and I haven't found a sort of a Muslim equivalent of a William Lane Craig, let's put it that way. If you want to learn first an argument, then it's best to do it back home so that you have something, because if you come here quite ignorant, then it's easy for people who have been here many years to kind of trap you, and it's not necessarily that they're right, it's just that you end up without having a good answer, and so, which, I don't have all the answers, but at least I have some knowledge on some of the subjects, and so, but to have a debate, to actually have the conversation, you can't beat having the face-to-face here. You just come down on a Sunday afternoon and see who's here, and typically there's some of the same people are here, and so you'll have a conversation with them, and that's typically how it works. There might be people who have arranged to meet here, but most of us just pop down and see who's here and then have a conversation. Yeah, I think a lot of people come here to have that winning, losing, and to make other people not have an answer. For me personally, I want to find out what's truth. And if somebody comes up with a suggestion or a line of argument that I'm not familiar with or I don't have a good answer to, then I'll go away and consider that and come back either with a better answer or acknowledge that they've made a good point. So I'll go away. I won't immediately go, hey, you're completely right. I will go away and look at it and say, what have other people said that I might have missed? But I do think a lot of them is trying to win the point, which isn't necessarily getting to the truth. Depends who and where. Not as often. This isn't it's a hobby for me, so I don't get a lot of time to go and do the comments. That's why I'd rather do it here. It's much quicker. I don't like writing. It's a pain anyway, so I'd rather hear the live options. I don't have a problem. Look, this sort of thing is allowed. I'm a videographer myself, so I'm well aware of the rules, which is in public you can video people without their permission. The only thing I would say is that you do need you do need someone to sign off if you're making a commercial venture. There's a fine line, there's a grey line with that. So, with this sort of thing, most people are going to put it on YouTube. If it happens to make a few pounds, that's good for them. They're not going to run around, and rightly so, to go and look for somebody to sign a document. So I think you're pretty safe with doing it. So, but again, it's more for interest and for education, I think, that most people video this than they're going, hey, I'm going to make some kind of money out of doing this. Listen, if you're quite knowledgeable about a particular topic, then engage in that topic. If you aren't, then do some research, because if you come down here without that and you've just got a version in your head of this is the way things are, and you have a conversation with somebody that knows what they're talking about, you'll probably come up short in terms of answers or having good questions. So research a particular topic or be knowledgeable in it ahead of time. Otherwise, listen. That'll probably, you'll get some education there. You're welcome, buddy.
Have a good day.
Ravinder from Basics of Sikh. I'm from the Sikh faith, and we believe in one God. One God is everywhere. He's part of the whole creation. He created everything. He's the Lord and Master. Well, when I say he, he's not actually a he, but sort of we use he in the English language. But it's the one that created everything, and is in charge of everything. So we're doing street prajar, which is we're just creating awareness about what the Sikh faith is. There's a lot of misinformation or ignorance out there. Some people, we're the fifth largest religion in the world, and a lot of people haven't even heard of us. A lot of people who have heard of us, they all think that we're Muslims or Hindus or something else. So we're just here sort of telling people what we believe. We're not trying to convert anybody or do anything. We're just sort of creating awareness and letting people know who we are, what we believe. You know, when they see somebody in this in identity, they actually know, right, that's a Sikh guy. You know, if I need help, I can go to that guy for help. Yeah, well, there's a few YouTube channels, but the one we're part of is Basics of Sikhi. It's got I think over 1,500 videos maybe, or you know, so it's quite a few videos on there. And there's quite a few videos from YouTube, from Speaker's Corner on there, but a lot of the videos will be like sermons and talks at a Gurdwara, or even sort of at universities and, you know, colleges. And some of them will be in the UK, some of them may be in America, Canada, in India, in Malaysia. So because our preachers, our prajariks, they're called all over the world, so you know they can be videoing anywhere.
There's a lot of other religions, and they tend to kind of like do this kind of almost like battle rap, like, you know, challenging other people's religions and stuff. I mean, how does that sit with the Sikh philosophy?
The Sikh philosophy is not to sort of go out and criticise other faiths. It's just to, you know, sort of say this is what we believe, right? If somebody believes in it or doesn't believe in it, that's up to them. That's, you know, whatever path they're following. But main thing we would say to somebody, no matter what faith they are, they could be Christian, they could be Muslim, they could be Hindu, whatever. We would say go and connect to God. So go and remember God. You know, speak to Him. Go and chant His name. And to create that connection, we're all on this earth to connect back with God. A lot of us have forgotten that. So that's what we're here. We're telling people, you know, no matter what faith you're following, whatever path you're following, just connect with God. Repeat God's name. Speaker's Corner, I think Jagraj maybe came even before I joined Basic Sikhi. So, but I think from what I gather, it's been going for a long time. So one day he just said we're coming here, and so I think he's been there about 4 or 5 times now. So whenever he can make it. A prime example. I used to be, born into a Sikh family, but I was never really practicing, none of my family really practices. And I would say to you that God introduced me to Basic Sikhi, the YouTube channel, and He got me to connect with my faith, and that's when I took on the actual Sikh identity. And I was blessed with Amrit, which is our version of being baptized, you can say. You know, when we actually take the vows of the Sikh faith, and we say we will follow it properly, and we do our prayers on time, and we will help everybody that needs it, and you know, I will stick to my discipline. So I was blessed with Amrit last year, and I've been blessed with this identity about 2 years ago. So before that, I would have been looked like one of these guys with, you know, very short hair and a trim beard, and so it's impacting a lot of people like me. So I would say yes, it's changing things. Sometimes I think there's too many comments on this, so but I think it's not normally me that's doing it, it's one of the other guys. But he will respond sometimes. It won't be. I think it'll be too much for somebody to do it all the time. Just if you're interested, find out about the Sikh faith. Go on the YouTube channel. You don't have to convert. If you don't like the videos, you know, you can just switch off the videos. But we're not about converting anybody. It's just about raising awareness, and obviously with awareness, we have more respect for each other, and we get on better in society. And so yeah, we are the 5th largest religion in the world, but not many people know about us. So you can check out our YouTube channel, Basics of Sikhi. You can follow us on Facebook or on Twitter, or you know, all the social media, Instagram. But yeah, so I hope that's helpful.
They call me Sara.
What is your stance, by the way?
My stance is very simple. Everything is everything. For me, it's simple, but when people hear it, they're like, oh, it's very vague. But the simple way to put it is everything is everything. We would have to kind of go into so many different levels of conversation for you to understand how I came to that conclusion. But generally, everything's connected. I don't know how I first heard about it, but I've been coming for a while. It's just something you see, more so see when you go past Hyde Park on a Sunday. To be honest, my ego brings down it.
Can you expand on that? Do you need to like fulfill your?
I need to fulfill my ego. I need to be able to. I love word and speech, so I like to be articulate when I speak, and I like to, you know, debate about things and just kind of get people thinking. But that's just me. I like to do that.
What kind of debates do you like to engage in? I mean, do you have a specific kind of person you go for?
in Speaker's Corner, when you come down here, you're going to get caught up in religious debates mostly, because most of the people here are debating either Islam, Christianity or Judaism, mostly. So you're going to get caught up in a religious debate 9 times out of 10. Sometimes it gets political and social, which I prefer, if I'm honest, but a lot of the time it's religious.
Do you feel that there's any kind of, because you already answered the question, you said you come down there to feel your ego. I mean, but there's some people who come down there, do they come down there to seek the truth, or do they come down to really kind of score points?
Even though I did say it was my ego myself, I want to attempt to open people's minds, and I get a good feeling by knowing that I've opened someone's mind. Generally, people are not here to open minds. They're generally here to argue about whose God is better than the other ones, from my observation, anyway. But I don't subscribe to any of those, religions, so I'm not here to argue about if my God's better than yours. I'm basically here to have a conversation with you and try and get you to think.
And do you know anything about the history of Speaker's Corner? Because people like Marcus Garvey used to speak here.
Yeah, I know it's got a long history, and to see what it's become is interesting. As to what it used to be very political down here, and to see what it's become is kind of interesting. And maybe things go around, swings and roundabouts, and it may come back around to become more political. I don't know, but right now it's very religious, very, very religious.
Do you know why this has changed? Why we have this change?
If I look at the demographic, if I'm honest with you, if you look at Edgware Road, which is basically a stone's throw from here, there's a lot of Muslims on that strip. So I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but if you move a lot of Muslims in the vicinity to Speaker's Corner, and it's a place for them to vent, and also Christians, it doesn't, no matter what group you move in, if there's a place to vent or proselytize your religion, then this is where they congregate, I guess.
The other side of it has changed dramatically, because now it's been transferred online. You've got people like myself posting videos and the debates, and they're getting a lot of responses, a lot of views immediately, and comments. I mean, one, do you respond to the comments? Do you actually go online and actively...
I've seen a few videos, but I don't respond to comments. I mean, I like the fact that people have an opinion. I'd prefer people to come here. If they've got something, if they don't like something I said, or they do like something I said, have a conversation. Because everyone's a soldier online, behind the keyboard. They can say what they want, feel how big they are. But having a face-to-face conversation is a totally different thing. So I prefer to have a face-to-face conversation.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic. Being here is a virtual dynamic and the actual dynamic.
Yeah.
And I mean, does any of the comments affect you? I mean, do you for the better or the worse? Whether it's a case of, oh well, that's interesting, maybe I should look into that.
I'm pretty firm in my stances, so but I'm always open to new information. I mean, if someone's just criticizing without any new information, then who cares? You know what I mean? If someone's got something to add via some new information, I'm all for it. But generally people just comment because of emotion, not generally because they want to kind of open up a debate and try and learn something new. So most people are emotionally attached to something before they even watch one of your videos or any video. They've already got an emotional attachment to something. So if a Muslim's speaking about Islam, they're emotionally attached to it. So they're going to side with the Muslim, as they say. So, it doesn't matter to me, if I'm honest.
How do you kind of deal with the crowds? I mean, and the multiple mouths of...
Crowds don't bother me. I've always been confident in public speaking, so I don't mind it. I'm going to be honest. I'm a performer, so if the crowd gathers, I'm probably better for what I do. So I don't mind it.
But is there a way of distinguishing, like, if you're right or wrong via the crowd? I mean, how is that determined?
No, I don't think crowd determines right or wrong. I think it's a thing, for me, right and wrong are socially defined. So if we're standing here in a crowd of Christians and the Christian is talking about Christianity, he's going to have 100 people saying, yeah, great for Christianity. So it doesn't matter to me. Crowds to me don't make the debate. They don't say, oh, he won because X. Well, he won or she won, in your eyes won, quote unquote, because you already have an emotional attachment to it. So, you know, I don't have an emotional attachment to any of the, you know, the gods down here, the people proclaiming to be God's people or whatever. So I'm never going to win in their eyes, if that makes sense. That I speak for the people who are seeking something.
So what would you say to the people who come down here, like the visitors who come to the Speaker's Corner? What should they expect, and what would you say to them?
I think expect a lot of arguing, expect a lot of emotion. Don't take it with a pinch of salt, and kind of look at it I look at it as a microcosm of the world, where everyone thinks they're right and everyone wants to argue and war over who's right and who's wrong, not realizing that depending on where you're situated, right and wrong is socially defined, so it's defined by your environment. But we've had that argument or that conversation, let's say, with people so many times, and they get it, but if they actually said yes, you're right, it would break down the foundation of what they already believe. So in their eyes, mostly there's only one right and one wrong, and that's God's right and God's wrong. Whereas we all know we can't even prove that entity anyway. So it's all subjective and, you know, socially defined for me.
Alright, so I'm here with
Tim.
and what's your religious background, if you have one?
So I became a Christian mid-20s. So I came here with a group called the Open Air Mission, who go out onto the streets, not just here in Hyde Park Corner, or Speaker's Corner, but all around the country, going out into marketplaces and speaking to people about Christ, preaching the message of the gospel.
But what makes it so special coming down to Speaker's Corner to preach about Jesus?
Probably this morning was better when there weren't quite so many hecklers. It does get quite intense here. It's good that people want to debate, because often there's a general apathy about spiritual things. But I preferred the morning. We're here for the week. We'll be going to Leicester Square, Covent Garden, Trafalgar Square, various places, and preach the gospel and talk to people who are interested in learning more about it.
And so do you know the background of Speaker's Corner?
I heard just last night, actually, yes, about the fact that people used to be hung here and that they would give their last word and people used to come and listen, and then when that was banned in, I think, 1860, they decided to carry on, and so people have been speaking here ever since.
I mean, do you realise that it's changed over time? I mean, there was a lot more Reformation discussions and more about unemployment in Speaker's Corner, but now we have predominantly a more religious...
I would say the first time I came here was 1987. I'd just become a Christian, and there was a missionary who'd been sent back from Iran. He couldn't stay there, and he used to come here, and I came along to support him, and he said, "Right, Tim, up you go." And so I was put on the pedestal, very young in my faith, and I didn't really handle the hecklers very well, I have to admit. But it's an interesting experience. I think even then, most of it probably was religious. I'd say there are more people, more Muslims here now, but otherwise quite similar time ago. But you know, so that is stimulating, and it's not often you get opportunity to discuss things at a deeper level, you know, that stretch your mind, that make you think, that, you know, rather than just, yeah, this is what it says, and so on. Yeah, with these little group of Christians who, it was the first time I'd encountered real, what I would call real Christianity. It wasn't the formalism that I'd grown up with, the empty hypocrisy. There was a vitality about it, and so that was beginning of this Christian journey, and I've been studying the Bible ever since. I've been working as an accountant for about 20 years, and the last year or so I've been wrestling with maybe spending more time coming out and sharing this message of Jesus Christ, and that's what I'm doing here today.
Speaker's Corner, from when you used to come down there and how it is now, what's your observation?
A lot of the topics the principal topic that's being discussed now in Speaker's Corner about is religion. Muslims versus Christians, one trying to get one over on the other one. I mean, my faith is better than yours, my religion is better than yours, my God is more powerful than yours. I mean, whereas in the old days you had a whole hodgepodge of different topics, subjects, and whatever that people could come and discuss. But I think the real change is happening because of social media. Social media has had an impact in that, in the technologies move forward, the way you can sort of now transmit messages, stuff. So, the whole dynamic has changed. You know what I mean? I'm planning to come back here next week and bring back the original free speech platform. I mean, not shake shit up. Do you know what I mean? Bring back the free speech platform. The free speech platform was a platform which was set up randomly somewhere, of which you invite speakers to come up and speak for 5 minutes. You give someone the right to reply. Do you know what I mean? And you rotate the subjects. But I think more of that's needed. Do you know what I mean? Because this is a forum that shouldn't die. Because I mean, you just look around and look at this sort of conversation. I mean, I was just earwigging on this conversation, and they were talking about dark matter. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, you might have a religion one over there. I was getting a conversation there about what was happening recently about with the old debate around anti-Semitism and Ken Livingstone. But you can get a whole hodgepodge of different conversations taking place on the ground, but they're not being magnified by people speaking on the platforms.
Right, true.
So they need to take back, people need to start bringing down platforms. When I started coming in the 80s, I started speaking in 1986. I used to come speak this corner around 92, 83. In 86 I started speaking. In those days you brought milk crates. It was the crates that you bring, not even stands. There were milk crates. You see milk crates lying all over the place. So sometimes you come to the park, and as I'm walking I see a crate, and I bring a crate and plot down. You know what I mean? That was how people used to speak. It would be nice to sort of resurrect that, because what's here is beautiful. You have the one-on-one relationship. You're looking at someone, you're speaking to someone. That's what social media's destroyed in some way. Do you know what I mean? That face-to-face conversation, open air debate where you have to think spontaneously, not Google something quickly to kind of come up with a response. You're dealing with the information that you have at your fingertips. Do you know what I mean? The world's moved on. I mean, the means of communication are advanced.
But that should expand things rather than narrowcast.
It has expanded things. I mean, the conversations that are taking place now on Facebook and Twitter, do you mean, are political, they are social, they are cultural. It affects us, do you know what I'm saying? And when Facebook was up, people would say, yeah, I just had this for dinner, or I just went to this place, and look at me, and that was the bullshit. But I mean, now I think even social media has matured in a way whereby activists, social justice campaigners, their voices are also being heard through those media. Think that way. There was a cat that came down here one time, back in the day, before social media, Bobby. Do you know what I mean? That guy called Bobby. Bobby come up and he would start speaking and talk people into and then at the end of it say you'd like put on a hat like he's like in busking. So, and when he brought that there, this was in the that was in the sort of early 90s, I think. It was around 1991, 92 maybe. Do you know what I mean? 93 perhaps. You know what I'm saying? But even that we had to click that. So, what are you dealing with? Pull him up on it. Do you know what I mean? I monetize shit. Not everything should be monetized.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
You lose its essence. It becomes corrupt. Speaker's Corner is a community. I mean, you can't monetize that. This is a community. I bucked up on you here. Yeah. I know so many faces here that I've known for years, 20, 30 years. Yeah. I don't even know the people's name. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a community. We come, we meet, we talk, we gather, we argue, we debate, we go home. And if you look at Speaker's Corner, with all the sort of ooh-ahs and the real serious subjects and topics that people discuss here, Israel and Palestine, you have Jews and Muslims, Christians and whatnot, and people get passionate, people argue, but you very rarely get a fight here at Speaker's Corner. It happens. And I've been engaged in a couple myself.
I've seen it.
But, through the technologies now to record it. Do you understand? But, you know what I mean? But on a whole, people want to sort of be able to discuss and exchange and open up and let go of some of the stuff that's,
I totally agree, but I'm just wondering, it's the popularity of it. It's almost becoming an outing, an event in terms of like
popularity, the demise. Look around you. This place used to be ram up. When Roy Saw used to speak in the 80s, Roy would speak over Odessa, and Roy would fill up the wall of space. That was two people's corner. Roy Saw and Lord Soper. Do you know what I mean? They used to hold and of that space bit. You know what I mean? That's what it was, man. There's been a demise. I don't see as many people here that used to come. You could look down and as far as the eye could virtually see. We wouldn't have
this space.
And not just that, you'd have about a good 18, 19, 20 speakers that be littered around the space. You can walk to one and hear a different subject over here. You know what I mean? You can hear Martin Besserman, who would do his little comedy routine, fused in with little social commentary and stuff. It was all ICAO, socialist. You'd have the gay and lesbian group over there. Do you know what I mean? The One World movement over yonder.
The guy with the horns, the atheist guy.
Ali the surrealist.
He's disappeared.
Ali been there from the 60s.
Yeah.
There was Maxwell Worrell. There was Lord Barker, Barrister David. You mean Matthew? And then you used to have the hecklers on the ground. People like Matthew Palmer, who was leader of the Young Conservatives. They used to call him. These were just hecklers on the ground. That was Lurch and Toad. I mean, the hecklers used to run quality control.